I was travelling up to Pollok to visit my mother. Going through Pollok in a double-decker bus, you don't expect to see a guy in a hammock up a tree. The next time I went up, the guy's still in the hammock up the tree. I thought, I need to see why this guy's up the tree, so I will wander through the park with the kids. And there wasn't only a guy up a tree, there was a fire, there was some benches around a fire, there was some tents and benders. Suddenly it wasn't a park, it was a house. And I went actually up to a tree and knocked on the tree. And my overwhelming feeling was that there was something special going on, but there was something very worrying going on as well. They were talking about the roads, they were telling me about the roads. Now here's my mother has lived there for 30 years. I grew up there, lived there for 24 years. No clue, had no clue about this. Because we played in them woods, that was our woods, Pollok's woods. That was where we saw trees, that's where we saw butterflies, that's where we had picnics, and we ran and rambled and hid and things that a lot of people might take for granted. You know, that was a refuge in a very kind of built up, grey and quite poor community. Pollok at that point was the most deprived community in Europe. Lots of poverty there, lots of unemployment, lots of low self-esteem, lots of young people, lots of families, very poor housing, dampness.
There was very little consultancy done in our neighbourhood. You know, Ardenne, Darnley, Priest Hill, Pollok, Corker Hill, all the areas worst affected, there was no consultation.
When it comes down to it, the authorities, they're hiding. I don't know where they are, but they've not got the interest of the woodlands, the parks and the people at heart. And this being the common land owned by the people of Glasgow, it's our responsibility to defend it. The buck stops at us, so therefore we've got to get our act together. We've got to stimulate public awareness and get the young people out and get them shouting and get them activating themselves.
I'll introduce you to some of the boys, or some of the activists that are down here. The main man, Colin. Right, Colin, give us a wee bit of information about the place.
This is part of the Pollok Estate, gifted to the people of Glasgow, 1939, and the first Conservation Agreement Act ever made by the National Trust for Scotland. This is protected land, and yet they're planning to destroy it.
I think the first stuff we did was the road blockades, where we would just sit and do a 15-minute road blockade. Colin decided what he'd do was a 9-day tree protest. We just put up a big banner and started calling it Pollok Free State.
We created the Pollok Free State, which owned Parliament, its own, passports. It was a sort of it was a leading question. Where the hell is our local democracy? Where is our autonomy?
More and more and more, it was wonderful. You started to hear that local accent, the children for the school, the various people you'd gone to school with yourself, your neighbours.
The main impetus came from local people. You had a much greater integration between social and environmental issues in Pollok than you had anywhere else at that time, and it kind of cut through a lot of the kind of liberalism or the idealism of protest in general, if you know what I mean, but linked it to very relevant and very pressing issues, because Pollok wasn't a very easy community to live in.
An environment wasn't something we were au fait with or used to at all in Pollok. Oh, God almighty, most people weren't, but certainly in a working class scheme where, your choices are how am I going to afford my next loaf, as opposed to whether or not it'll be genetically modified. So, that's the real nitty gritty of it. So people like myself were very much, when were we asked about this? And then, but that's our park.
In the scheme, you're disempowered. There's no responsibility, there's no, in the Free State we kind of relearned how to take responsibility in some small way, and we relearned to articulate our voice, and in some ways we found direction.
The camp wasn't only about screaming at security guards and concrete mixers. The camp was a huge educational experience.
There was this extreme school where you walked from your scheme and straight into your school, and your school's like, wow, it's in your face.
And so we did this thing where we called ourselves the People's Free University of Pollok, where courses are offered and living.
This is part of the campaign of mass defiance against the Tories' Criminal Justice Bill, which is the worst attack on your civil rights.
People were being politicised by a number. Poll tax had definitely kicked that off, and there was a left unity developing in Glasgow in particular around the M77, and the backdrop of the poll tax, or the kind of hangover for the poll tax at the time, and then the new legislation through.
You're allowed to raid a party if you choose to do so, but we will make the Criminal Justice Bill just as unenforceable as we made the poll tax through a campaign of mass.
One of the biggest events we had was a march from Blythewood Square to the Free State, and that was probably one of the biggest marches in Glasgow in recent times. It's hard to get people out of their houses nowadays. It's hard to get people marching for what they believed, but we had certainly tens of thousands of people on that march, and it was an awful long
to strike the school.
We're going to get our point put there that we're not going to school until we know that this M77 is not getting built, because it's our future health that's at stake here.
They're taking away our park, our environment, and it's just no right.
And is this a protest?
It had every bit of Glasgow in it. It was feisty, it was cheeky, it was funny, it liked to drink, it could run, it could climb. It was very much a wee microcosm of Glasgow.
January. I know you'll be finding this a bit hard to hear. That's because we're having a party. Today's the day that the bulldozers are meant to come in. Somehow, I don't think so.
It wasn't all like nothing is in life. It wasn't all, you know, roses, and because there's a lot of problems with drugs in that area.
It wasn't a comfortable space initially. There was people drinking, there were people taking drugs. Not the main people, but people would come along saying, oh, I heard this was a Free State, and that did erupt into violence on more than one occasion.
it shaped Pollok, and it shaped, I think, all the people. And it gave us, I don't think if any it hadn't happened, then the Galgale would not have happened. I think it was because, you know, Pollok was to deal with a problem, but then that problem shows other problems in society, as you've got all these people coming into a free space, and then that free space kind of breaks all the bonds. So when the bonds are breaking off, these people become, you know, because they're chained to that life, and then as these, you start to see something different.
Interesting things come out of a space that's uncomfortable. If it's comfortable, then everything's already established and accepted, and nothing's questioned and queried and explored and discussed. Whereas in an uncomfortable space, everybody comes with different expectations or ideas of what's standard or normal.
You know, you just can't say, right, I've read the book, I know what to do here, and that's it. So I mean, you've got to always be ready for the new day sort of thing. And I think for a lot of people who came there with a general view of how to do this, how we're going to deal with this, how we're going to deal with the security, how we're going to deal with the politics here, etc. and all that, we've done the book and that's how we're going to do it. They struggled with it, and they would probably be more argumentative of others' ideas, etc. You know, there's a thing of freedom, but what goes with that is supporting each other. And to some people that was like, oh, that's rules, or that's, you know what I mean? But it's not. There's a survival kit to living in nature, to living in life, to living in a scheme, to living in the world, to living with each other, and that was all part of it.
We've had the inner life cut out of us, and it leaves us with a profound inner hunger, seeking that liminal experience. A liminum is when you cross a threshold, and what the Pollok Free State was doing was it was actually opening the doors of the true liminal.
police car comes, another police car comes, a police van, another, motorcycles, vans. I'd never seen anything like it in my life, but I knew exactly what it meant. I never had mobile phones or anything, so I ran into college and my geography lesson and just shouted, I think the police are attacking the M77, I think they're attacking the camp. Will anybody come with me? And it was really one of those moments where 4 women stood up and went, I'll go with you. They had no fucking idea what I was up to, and neither had I. And we got into a woman's car and tried to get there before the police got there. So they'd shut off Barhead Road, but growing up in Pollok I knew another way into the park, and these poor unsuspecting classmates of mine, and we waded through, you know, we ran, and it was dead hard, and we could, you know, if you'd seen it through the sky, I suppose we were coming in, 5 people, for one direction, and there was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of police coming in for another direction, but we were faster.
I'm asking you, I'm leaving the youth at home. Can you leave? Take next way. Just keep it. We can't even do it unless it's done. Let them! There won't be anything left. Have you got any faith? How can you do that? How can you do it? Do you not even express an opinion? Just keep your eyes out. It's common knowledge that this environment is getting ruined. Do you care?
You know these trees, you've been up to these trees, they mean so much to you anyway, and you hear them breaking like matches, and a space appearing where a space had never been before.
It just suddenly get quiet, and there was just about a hard core of us living there, and people stopped visiting then as well, and I loved it. To me that was the biggest challenge. That was more terrifying in a way than standing up to a whole lot of security and a big digger and stuff like that. How we nurtured it then, you know, Colin constantly then was just doing woodwork, stonework. We started getting regular visitors, and we started this big garden. How the Gal Gale, how that vision suddenly came out. The little boat medallion was found in the woods and Colin was putting out, what are we going to do?
We're not going to go and become some kind of outsider in some kind of rural idyll and preach at the city about how it needs to change its behaviour. What we need to be doing is creating a real response to these issues that represent the issues of urban people, and we're going to do that from where we live.
First day you come in, you're a visitor, and second day you come in, you're a volunteer, and you're shown how to do something. Then the next day, when somebody else comes in, you show them what you've learned, and it's like you've learned something, so you teach it. So the Gal Gale is the child of Pollok. That's what it is, it's the child of Pollok Park, it's the free child of Pollok Park.
In the 9th century they coined the term Gal Gale because the Norse came, they invaded, they settled. They were assimilated into Gaelic culture, they adopted the Gaelic language and Gaelic way of life. However, they brought their own culture with them. Scottish culture evolved.
There is something of the Gal, something of the stranger, and something of the Gael, something of the heartland people in most of us today.
It's not so much nationalism as a sense of being a people, and people are united by their stories and their culture and the common tasks which inspire them and motivate them.
We made his coffin in the Gal Gale. We made it so he didn't have a square coffin, we made it in a boat shape, you know. And we used bits of wood that we got at the Free State and all that. It came all the way through that Colin had kept for special bits, like there's this bayou and all that. And
his body was in the Gal Gale for a while, well, all night before the funeral.
And we did a vigil, we stayed with him.
Yeah,
you know.
so yeah, we were there for, well, I was there for hours.
We closed
some of
his
the boys,
coffin.
you know.
Yeah, and then we walked into Govan and Govan stopped for him.
Yeah, oh, streets full of folk.
Everybody stopped, everybody came out for him. Everybody. I can't get over that he died, you know, because... But it's true, they say the good die young. I'm saying, but... I truly expected him to be burying me. And we used to joke about it. But it turned out the other way. It was some guy. My friend Colin Macleod.
He never actually achieved his personal ambition of building a boat himself. He didn't actually learn how to be a boat builder, but I think that Gal Gale was the boat that he was building. And beyond building Gal Gale as a boat, he also set our eye on a certain destination which is compelling.
Everything that was said during that fire, it's happening. Everybody's doing it, you know.
They still talk about the Free State, the people in the Free State. The tree people, as they call them. How's your tree people? Do you still keep in contact with them? The tree huggers? You know, I said, they've moved on now, they're doing well, as they call the tree huggers.
It's all still there. That actual woods with Free State it's got so overgrown, which is fantastic to see how nature is such a fighter. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like no matter what you throw at it, like all those human beings living there, etc., it'll just come back.